Hello and welcome to a basic introduction to finger cymbals, also known as sagat or sajat in Egypt and zils in Turkey. So we have a couple of housekeeping items first. I'm just going to introduce you to what the instrument looks like, how to get it set up, how to wear them, and ear protection. And then we'll get into a little bit of what sounds you can make and maybe do a little drill, but I might leave that for a later video. We'll see how that goes. All right, so what you're going to need for your cymbals are either a pair of cymbals, they can look any number of ways, or and by pair I really mean two pairs, I suppose. Cymbals should generally come in four, because you're wearing one on each middle finger and one on each thumb, at least in the style that I have learned. There may be other styles out there. Or you can use 4 wooden buttons, and you want pretty big buttons, because you'll notice even these very large wooden buttons, these are my smallest cymbals, are a little bit smaller than my smallest cymbals, so that means some of the strikes can be a little bit trickier, and the way that you set your hands on them can be a little different and feel a little different for most cymbals, because even my largest cymbals are pretty small to medium size, because I don't like them to be super loud. And in general, the larger the cymbal, the louder the sound. So I almost always use my smallest ones, because I live in an apartment complex and I have a husband and a dog who both don't love the sound of cymbaling. That's also where it can be advantageous to use your wooden buttons instead. So the wooden buttons have the advantage of, you can buy like a $10 giant pack, and then when you, at least if you're me, inevitably step on one and break it or what have you, you can just replace it from the giant bag of buttons. So they're both quieter and potentially a little cheaper, although cymbals can be quite cheap. And then you'll also need, to start out with, I recommend safety pins instead of sewing. So I just have a big old bag of safety pins I've gotten from a variety of places. And I like to have different sizes and colors, because that can help me identify which cymbals are the middle finger cymbals and which cymbals are the thumb cymbals. So you can use a different color or size or both for those, so that you can easily identify. So for example, let's take my commonly played pair. I have small golden safety pins on the middle finger ones, and I have larger silver safety pins on my thumb ones. Just makes it much easier when you go to play, so you don't have to be like, oh, was that, but which one is which? And then later when you sew them, for performance, because it looks a little bit nicer to have them sewn instead of safety pinned when you perform, you can sew in a different color of thread, or I've known people who've taken like a fabric marker and put like a little dot on the elastic, or some people put it directly on the cymbal. I'm not as much of a fan of that, because it just makes the cymbals harder to clean, in my opinion, but totally valid as well. I believe they usually put it on the inside, if I remember correctly. But whatever method you choose to make sure that you know which cymbals are middle finger and thumb will work. And when you safety pin, you want the safety pin or the sewing to be on the outside instead of on the inside, because if it's on the inside, it'll mess with the sound quality. Now, if you're using your wooden buttons and you use the ones that I used, which I will put a link for, you'll want 1/2 inch elastic. And I didn't really worry about the color of elastic, because I'm not going to be performing with my wooden buttons. If you decided you really loved the sound and you wanted to perform with them, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with white elastic, as long as it matches your costume, or if you don't care if it matches your costume. That's up to you. In general though, most people are going to use black elastic for their cymbals, but this is just 1/4 inch elastic. I will also put a link for this in the comments, and as you can tell, I have plenty to replace when my elastic gets stretched out. I believe this is just the smallest size that was available. This is gonna last me probably like 20 years if I had to guess. And then if you have the types of cymbals that most of us dancers in America use, you'll probably want 1/2 inch elastic. And this specifically says it's braided elastic, which is the kind that I've always used. So it has like the ribs, and my understanding is that maybe that just makes it a little bit grippier and easier to stay on. You'll notice the 1/4 inch elastic is also braided. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus. There we go. So those are the components that you will need for your cymbals. Now, likely, if you order a pair of cymbals, it's pretty likely that they will come with elastic and maybe even with safety pins, depending on where you get them from. I believe when I got mine from Tribe Noir, they came with some elastic already, but I don't know if they came with safety pins, but most people have safety pins. And another key component, if you are practicing with the actual cymbals and not with a quieter version like wooden cymbals or cymbals with a baby sock over them. I've also seen crocheted mufflers. There's all sorts of ways you can muffle the cymbals, although for me, that messes with the sound in a way where I can't tell if I'm making the right sounds. So I personally don't use those, and that's part of why I have the wooden ones instead, because I actually like the sound of playing the wooden buttons better than the sound of playing muffled cymbals. But it's up to you. You can try both and see what you like better. And so earplugs. If you're playing unmuffled full cymbals, you'll probably want some ear protection. It'll make the cymbal practice much more pleasant for you, and it'll help your ears to stay safer and healthier. So my sister actually got me these lovely musician quality earplugs that don't warp sound at all. They simply silence it a little bit. And they were actually, when I looked them up on Amazon to see what they were so I could recommend them to you, I believe they're like 20 or 30 bucks right now. So they're not insanely expensive. And these particular ones do come with a nice little case, which is good because I am losing track of things all the time, and if I just had these floating around, I would never keep track of them. And they come with multiple sizes. So you can adjust based on your ear size. That being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with just using whatever earplugs you have available to you. And I haven't tried the cheaper ones, but my guess is that you could still get a really good practice, even with the not fancy musician ones. And in general, in my opinion, better safe than sorry when it comes to protecting your hearing. If you make a mistake in your technique and you later have to fix it, you can just fix it. Whereas, as far as I know, you can't really get back hearing loss. So, earplugs. And go ahead and put mine in. I may be speaking louder now, I'm not entirely sure, because everything's quieter to me. Also, so first things first, I will demonstrate everything on the loudest cymbals. So you may want to turn your volume down now. I'm going to put these on. And I'm going to go over the sounds on each type of cymbal. So you get a couple repetitions, and so you can hear what different ones sound like. Now these larger ones, I wouldn't normally use unless I'm in a troupe where we're all trying to match and they have ones like these. Or if I'm in a really large venue where it's hard for the sound to get out and people are further away from me, or if I'm outdoors, then I might use these larger ones. I would never use them if I were dancing in a close space where the audience is really close to me, like a restaurant, because that's just not going to be pleasant for anybody. So, another thing you'll notice is, in addition to being louder, the larger ones are also going to be wobblier So they might be a little bit harder to control in some ways. However, there's more space to move the fingers around on them, and there's more space to hit the right portion of the cymbal. So bigger can be easier and harder in different ways. So according to dance cohesion, which is the style of zilling that I am teaching you, we have a few different sounds. So the loudest sound is the ring, and that is going to sound like this. Now right now I'm playing the ring as softly as I can. It can get really loud. Let me see if I can unleash the way that I tend to do when I forget to be gentle, or if I want it to be louder. Now this sounds relatively quiet to me, probably because I have my earplugs in. So you want to think about bouncing off. So you don't like close and hold it there for the ring. You just bounce, 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 bounce. So the focus is on the out. So the in is really quick, and it's mostly a in out, in out, in out, in out. And I'm hitting like here, not here, because I like the sound better here. And then the second sound is a clack. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, the ring, if you're syncing this up with drum rhythms, is going to go with a doom on the drum. Which if you don't know what that is, I will be coming out with a drum video soon, and then that will make sense. So the ring is the cymbal equivalent of a doom. And then the next sound, the clack, is the cymbal equivalent of a tech on a drum. So clack, I like to put at least my 2 fingers on either side of the middle finger on the cymbal for this one. Because notice they're off for the ring because we don't want anything muting the sound. But the clack is a more muted sound. So I like to put my other 2 fingers on the cymbal, or potentially, if it's big enough, even my whole hand. Which these are the only cymbals I have that are big enough for that. And the focus is on the in. So it's out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. And there's no bounce. It holds for a second because this is a muted sound. Now, I've noticed that these tend to be much more just whole cymbal to whole cymbal, or you can play slightly off center, just depending on your preference. And then the last sound that we commonly use in dance cohesion, there are more advanced sounds later, but the last common sound that we use for most of the rhythms in dance cohesion stage 1 and 2 is a tick. So otherwise called a rim tick, I've heard it called. So you kind of wedge your cymbal into your little webbing here, and then you keep these fingers on the other cymbal, and you hit the rim and the edge together. So the edge here and the rim here. All right, and then I will do a very simple little drill where we ring, right, left, clack, right, left, tick, right, left. So we'll go 5, 6, 7, 8. Ring, 2, 3, 4. Clack, 2, 3, 4. Tick, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do that for a longer period with some of the later cymbals, because I'll want to do longer on my cymbals that I like better, that I'm more used to. All right, so then my second largest cymbals. These here. And you'll notice the shape is a little bit different. So cymbals will have different shapes. So this is just sort of a gradual slope. This one has a flat rim. So the size and the flatness of the rim will make this sound slightly different. And if you can't hear the difference in sound, that's fine. I'm not sure I can necessarily either. I just want to demonstrate so that if you're somebody who has that kind of good ear where you can tell the difference, you can hear what some of these different types of cymbals sound like. All right. So we'll just do that same thing. Ring, 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 ring. Clack, 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 clack. Tick, 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 tick. 4 each. I think I might have said 3, but we'll do 4. All right, so, and this time I'm going to do left, right, instead of right, left, right, left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4. Now you might notice on these, since I'm less used to them, my ticks may end up being here in the dome. I try to avoid doing that. I try to make it a rim tick. However, in the dance cohesion style of cymbaling, April has said that in the dome is just fine. It's still a tick, just like on the rim. However, when I went to Kareem Nagi's Cymbalisms workshop last year, he specifically said that the ticks were on the rims. So I really try to keep them on the rims. But if you notice them sliding into the dome, that does happen sometimes, as this is always a work in progress. All right. Now, I am going to demonstrate my favorite cymbals. And at the end, I will also get down to the buttons and then also meat cymbals, which is just, it's also called air cymbaling, but I like meat cymbals better because your fingers are made out of meat, not air. So it's also more fun to say. Because you don't even have to have cymbals to practice cymbaling, which is really cool. All right, so these are the ones I'm most used to doing. So we're going to drill a couple of times in a row. Let's do ring, 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 clack, 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 tick, 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 and then back to the ring, but on the left instead of the right. So we'll go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And we'll see how many times I can do that before I mess it up. And the nice thing is, since it's a video, once I do that, you can just back it up as many times as you want and practice along. My dog is running away now. She's realizing that the cymbaling isn't stopping anytime soon. All right, so we have rings, right and left. Ring, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4, left, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4, right, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4, left, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4, ring, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4, left, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Right. All right, let's try a little arm pattern. So I'm backing up a little bit. So let's see. I'm gonna adjust my camera a little. So let's do ring, 2, 3, 4, clap, 6, 7, 8, kick, 2, 3, 4. So it's up, down, out. And we'll do the same thing on the left. So let's try that a few times. All right, starting on the right. Ring, 2, 3, 4. Clap, 2, 3, 4. Tick, 2, 3, 4. Ring, 2, 3, 4. Clap, 2, 3, 4. Tick, 2, 3, 4. Ring, 2, 3, 4. Clap, 2, 3, 4. Tick, 2, 3, 4. Left, 2, 3, 4. Left, 2, 3, 4. Tick, 2, 3, 4. Right. Left. Right. Left. This is the last one. Oof. I did some really intense arm stuff yesterday, so let's demonstrate on our buttons. The elastic on the buttons is a little bit more troublemaking. I think probably just because it's a thinner elastic, so it kind of moves around more in there. Now, something you'll also notice if you're using your buttons is that they are much lighter than the cymbals, which can be a positive. It can make it easier to practice for longer. It can also make it feel a little bit more different when you switch between. So, just to demonstrate the sounds here, since we're using kind of a new type of instrument or practice instrument, the rings, clacks. See, there's just enough space for my 2 fingers on either side. And then ticks. And the ticks, it's really hard to tell if it's, so frequently on these, this is when my ticks will tend to fall out that way because these are so small. So it might be extra tricky to get those ticks just right, and that's normal. So you'll probably notice that the rings and the clacks don't sound nearly as different because these are buttons. They're not actually meant to be a musical instrument. The cymbals are a musical instrument. So these are just a way for us to practice that feels a little bit closer to the real thing than meat cymbaling. But let's do the drill with these a few times. All right, so starting here, and we'll start on the right. Right, 2, 3, 4, tap, 2, 3, 4, tick, 2, 3, 4, left, 2, 3, 4, clack, 2, 3, 4, tick, 3, 4, right. Left. One more time each side. All right, and now, meat cymbaling time. You need absolutely no props at all. All right, so we have just these. So a ring is just gonna look like bouncing your middle finger and thumb away from each other. And obviously, there's not gonna be much noise with this. Let me take my earplugs out. Ring, 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 ring. And then clack is I'm just bringing my whole hand together. So it's still the middle finger and the thumb hitting, but my other fingers are along for the ride. Or you can just have these along for the ride, depending on what feels good. For me, it just feels better in my hand to take the whole hand along for the ride. And then the rim tick. Again, I'm gonna use my whole hand, but you really only need to use the middle finger and probably these ones, like, so you could have your pinkies up if you liked fancy with your pinkies up. But so on that middle finger, I'm gonna try to hit the edge, the tip of the middle finger, and hit like at this angle, you know, instead of like this, which is the clack. I'm hitting like this, which kind of mimics the cymbal. So if we're just doing the hands, we have ring, 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 clack, 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 tick, 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 left, left, ring, 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 clack, 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 tick, 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 tick. Now it'll be harder for you to potentially hear what I'm doing, but I'm going to give a try to doing this drill. Let's just do it once on each side with the meat cymbals. All right, so we start from out here. We're going to start on the right. Ring, 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 clack, 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 tick, 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 left, ring, 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 clack, 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 tick, 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 tick. All right, perfect. So if you are watching this on Coffee, I believe that's how it's pronounced, feel free to leave a tip if you love this video. This video may end up in a pack of videos that I put up for sale later. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, please give a like and a follow if you enjoyed the material, and visit my Ko-Fi as well, Coffee. And I will put links in the description for where I have gotten my cymbals in the past, for where I got my elastic and my buttons and my earplugs, and I'm also going to put some links to great Zill performers, so you can kind of see what really good Zill players or Sagat players can do. All right, thank you so much for sitting with me through this now 30-minute video. I will be sure to go back and timestamp this, so hopefully you've been able to jump around as much as you like. Thank you. Bye.